What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training. Today we're going to be breaking down Tua Tagovailoa's throwing mechanics. I think he's got one of the quickest releases, probably the quickest release in the draft this year, so we're going to talk about what I think makes him a special passer. And guys, if you want to send in either your throwing mechanics, game film, whatever it is, and you want me to break it down just like how I'm doing this, drawing on the film, talking about the flaws and the good points in your motion, check out that link in the description that says send in a film breakdown. Hope to get you guys signed up on my website. All right, let's talk about this first throw. So the main things I want to focus on is how quick he gets the front foot down, how his hips are able to come through, and then we're going to talk about his head and how it causes that ball to be pushed outside of his frame just a little bit, and it's just a little bad habit that I'm assuming he's worked on. I'm assuming a coach has told him the same thing before, okay? Just we haven't seen him throwing a little bit, so this is the best film I could find. So let's watch this throw again. We're going to see how much pop this throw has off of his hand, and we're going to talk about why he's got so much pop behind this ball, okay? So Tua, obviously, look at him. He's a pretty strong kid. He's got a really strong base. He's got great hips. Now, the whole process of his back leg drive and his front foot coming down fast does not start without being in a strong base. So you see how he's not real narrow here. He's got his butt slightly dropped, and he's got a slight bend to his knees, okay? Now, that's the main thing that I want to get out of this. I want to be able to drive off of that back leg, and that front leg gets in the ground as fast as possible. Because here's the thing. This ball can't come through as long as that front foot's not in the ground. So the longer I have a front stride, the longer my front stride is, longer my release is going to be, and the longer it takes to get out. Now, on a deep ball, a lot of guys have this problem because they're trying to throw it over here, and when they take this hitch, they put all their weight on this back leg, and their front leg starts to stride out. They might throw good short, but they don't throw good long, and the key to that is getting the same stride length, okay? So now, when he drives here, you can see where this throw starts. Throw starts from the back leg. He's not just opening up, he's driving. And that's what gets that front leg down fast, because the whole point of a wide base is so I can drive off of this leg, and that front leg comes down naturally. I don't even have to think about it. What a lot of guys will do is they'll swing their front leg here because they think to get their back hip to come through, they have to step wide. Not true. And I used to make that mistake when I first played quarterback as well. If you step wide with it, you're not going to have any rotation. You're just forcing your hips to come open, but that doesn't mean you're ripping your hips through. We want to drive my hips through. So I want to make sure I push and get that front foot in the ground without even having to think about it. And you see when he steps, it's just to the inside of the target. He's not stepping over here. He's not stepping directly at it like a lot of people are taught. That's just making that stride quicker so he's able to transfer that weight and keep that balance on the front leg a little bit more, okay? So now you see the drive, and now look at this back hip. Back hip is starting to rotate through, and that's what brings the ball through. Now I want you to see when his front foot's in the ground, look where his backstroke is. He's just now separating his hands and his front foot's in the ground. That's why it's so quick, right? Everybody thinks that he's rushing his arm here. Not even the case. It's how fast he gets that front foot down. He takes this ball back. Now his hips are going to force the ball up to this 90-degree angle. Everybody who loves to lift it straight to 90, and they get to 90, when their front foot first hits the ground, their arm is in that 90-degree angle, right? Not at all what I want. I want us to get some kind of backstroke, because if we lift, we're going to come up and over. We're going to have a dip in our motion. But if we go straight back here, when my hips bring me through, I could actually start to rotate. Now, you see his hips coming through before the ball, right? They call that chasing the hip. That's how you get torque. Now, if you keep your front arm nice and tight here, you're going to maintain torque. Now, here's the thing I want to talk about. When he starts to rotate through, I want you to watch his head. His head kind of leans out this way, and watch what it does to the ball. It pushes his release outside of his frame, right? Just because his head is leaning outside of this, okay? If he was to keep his head a little bit more level and a little bit more straight, try to keep his eyes level like we're almost looking down a horizon line, that ball wouldn't kind of come out tilted right here, because he's not going to end up pushing it out. He just loses a little bit of sense of direction because his head dips. Now, you might say this ball hit the receiver right in his face. How is this a bad throw? Why does it matter? Because here's the deal. If I lean out of it and let's say I release it a little bit too soon, it'll kick out left. Let's say I release it a little bit too late, it'll kick right. He's probably used to this, so he's used to the consistent release point because he's repped it so many times. But if he gets that head a little bit more level, he's going to really be able to feel where that ball should be. He's going to feel where that accuracy should be, and he's going to be able to pick his spots a little bit more and have a little bit more control on the ball, okay? But again, not a bad job. That's a great job getting this ball out quick. Front foot down while he's in this L. His hips bring that arm up, and you see his hip is coming through first. The ball is chasing his hip. That's the position that I want to get in with all of my quarterbacks. That's how I want to be, okay? So that's not bad here by Tua, keeping a bend in that front leg. Now let's talk about his back leg here. See how his back leg comes up out of the ground? I get this question asked a lot. Should I have my back leg come up? Now, here's the deal. If my back leg is driving up and I lose balance on this front leg, I would like to see a little bit more drag. Not that high, personally, but I mean, it's something that he's been doing for a long time. The reason why is because he's pushing so much off of this back leg. A lot of times when guys tend to push a lot off of this back leg and they tend to sit their butt down, they tend to bring this back leg up, which makes sense. I get that. But as long as you can stay balanced on that front leg, I know personally I don't have a problem with it. Just as long as it's not really high and you're locking out this front leg, it's a problem until you make it a problem, okay? So that's my personal opinion on it. I know other coaches will probably say drag the back foot, and I'm sure they have a great reason for it. I'm just saying the reason why is because he's pushing so much, and that's what causes him pushing so much off that back leg. It causes it to pop up because he's using so much ground force. But as long as it doesn't affect the front leg or the balance of the throw, then I'm all right with it. And I think if he fixes his head and he doesn't lean out of it, bringing his body here, his left side of his body won't kick out wide. Okay, so let's watch it full speed again one more time. So again, quick stride, rip right through with your hips. Okay, so now he's going to be working this thing off of a 3-step drop. Let's watch it full speed, then we'll break it down. So again, we're going to talk about how that front foot comes down quick, and now we can't see his drop here. Yeah, so actually we can see his drop. So that pivot step is what I want to talk about. So he takes this rhythm 3, he's throwing like this 3-step drop to his back side here, so to his right side, to his blind spot. Now, a lot of guys will take this second step, and they keep their toes pointed towards this sideline. And what happens is they'll be here, but their hips are still perpendicular to the line of scrimmage, right? But when you do on that second to last step of a 3-step drop or second to last step of a 5-step drop, if you're throwing like a speed out, a hitch to your backside where you got to be in rhythm, you can't take a hitch to gather yourself, you got to pivot off this second step. So you see how when Tua takes this drop, he's pivoting, because what does that do? That gets his hips in line, and now that third step can hook back around. He could get that front foot in the ground quick, and you see how much he's driving off that back leg here. And now, like I said, I want you to watch his eyes on this throw. See how his eyes stay a little bit more level than the last throw, and look at his release point. It's not as far outside of his frame. So that's what I was talking with his eyes leaning out of the throw, right? I don't want you to be completely leaning out of here, bringing this shoulder down still a little bit, but his eyes stay relatively level, and you look at that release point on the throw. It's a little bit cleaner. It's not as pushed outside of his frame. He's actually starting to rotate through right now. That's not a bad job by Tua. That's a perfect example of him working on that lean out of the throw, right? It's all hips. It's all legs. You want to drive off this back leg, get the front foot down, let your hips rotate you, keep your eyes level, keep that front shoulder square here with this front arm tight so we can produce some torque from the back leg, and then my release point is solid. That's a great job by Tua, and you see how he finishes square here, letting that follow through do all the work for him. And again, look at that back leg. A little bit closer to the ground, right? Because there's less lean. Because when you could stay straight up like this, see still a little bit of a lean, but it's not as big of a problem as the last one. When you could stay straight up like this back leg's under control a little bit more. Let's watch this thing full speed one more time. So again, make sure I'm pivoting and getting that third step back around, hooking my hips, and then driving, okay? So let's watch. This is going to be some game film here. We're going to talk about his movement in the pocket. I know this is mainly about his mechanics, but this is part of mechanics. I consider this mechanics of the position. So let's watch it full speed. So he takes this drop here, gets lateral, moving both feet at the same time, finds Jerry Jeudy downfield for a strike, okay? So now, let's talk about his movement in the pocket here. So when we sense some pressure, great job picking up this block here by running back. When I move in the pocket, again, I'm not looking at this. It's like I got a sixth sense for the guys right here, okay? I can feel it. That's why a great drill that I work with my quarterbacks is I'll have their eyes closed, and I get like a pole or like the end of a broom, and I'll just tap them. I'll tap them on the front of their shoulder, the middle of their body, their back, and they have to react to the tap, right? So what that is you having to react in the pocket, because most of the time, and then their eyes are closed, like I said, because most of the time your eyes are essentially closed to these guys. So it's just a feel. You got to feel for them. You got to feel the pressure that they're bringing. I'm not looking at anything. So again, he drifts. But now, how does he drift in the pocket? A lot of quarterbacks are taught this like kick step where you split your base. If you're a quarterback, you know what I'm talking about. That kick step where you split and your base gets wide. See how he moves both feet at the same time here? When he drifts, it's a glide in the pocket. That's how elite passers in the league move in the pocket. They move, they glide. You watch Drew Brees, you'll never see him kick step, right? I think their games are pretty similar to Tua's and Brees when it comes to getting the ball out of their hands, when it comes to having a quick release, just that they throw with opposite hands, obviously. But you see how he moves moves both feet at the same time because he's just set ready to go right now. Imagine if he was moving one foot after the other, kick stepping, and obviously one foot's going to have to move first, okay? Let's not get that technical about it, but you got to make sure both of your feet are active, okay? Both of your feet are active, moving, so it's faster to get me set to this base right here. And again, he's got this nice wide base. He's able to drive, and look how quick that front foot comes down because he's able to stay in his hips. And again, this quick stride saves his ass because he's going to get popped by this guy who's got about 150 pounds on him. Imagine if he's here and he takes a hitch because he's super narrow and because his base is split, because he's standing up tall, takes a hitch, and then he gets popped right in the mouth, gets knocked out of the game, right? And that's the reality of the position. It's how fast can you get the ball out of your hands so these guys don't take your head off, okay? When you break it down really simple. So when you move in the pocket, this is what pisses me off so much about quarterback coaches is they don't stress this. You got to move both feet at the same time because it's all about getting the ball out of your hands. Getting rid of that wasted motion right here. I see too many guys all kick step, shuffle up, shuffle back, and then take a hitch and throw a 10-yard dig, right? It's stupid. You got to be able to move in the pocket and be able to get this front foot down in the ground fast, bring your hips through, and get this ball out, okay? Because sometimes it's not pretty. And you look at this throw, he ends up with his right leg facing here. He's rotating, over-rotating, but he got the ball out of his hands, right? Because his base was there. It all starts with the legs, and then he's able to drop this thing downfield. Great job by Tua here. Let's watch it full speed one more time. That's how you need to move in the pocket, quarterbacks. Eyes downfield, and you glide. Both feet moving at the same time. Active feet, you're going to have an active ball. You get the ball out of your hands quick. Let's watch it again. So play action here. Glide. You're gliding in the pocket, both feet at the same time. Get your front foot down fast. Great ball by Tua Tagovailoa. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you want me to take a look at your throwing mechanics, some of your highlights from the past season, however it may be, check out that link in the description. And also, quarterbacks, if you want to get better at reading coverages, check out the first link in the link in the description that says reading coverages, guys. And please leave in the comments any questions you have. I'll make sure to get back to you. I'll see you guys next time.